Hello, it's Sonia here, The Pretty Stitch. Welcome to my channel. If this is your first time joining me, I'm so happy to have you here. So today is Tuesday, and that means it's Tunisian Tuesday. So we are going to be featuring a stitch pattern today. And for this, I'm using my eye hook or 5.5mm hook. As you can see, I'm just using a basic straight crochet hook, and I just popped a rubber band on the end so my stitches won't slide off. And I've already gotten started here. So here is my row 1, and the yarn I am using is Bella Coco Irresistible Aran. I don't know if they still make it. It was gifted to me, so I've had it in my stash for quite a while. So to do this stitch pattern, you will need to just chain an even number, and please excuse the state of my hands and nails. I've been doing a ton of yard work and they just look a little rough right now. Alright, so I'm going to show you a clip on how to get started with row 1. Okay, so row 1 is our setup row in the second chain from our hook. I like to work in the back bump of my chain. I am going to pull up loops. Now you don't have to work in the back bump, that's just my preferred method. And if you've never done Tunisian crochet before, I do have a playlist that goes over the basics plus other stitch pattern tutorials and projects as well. So I'll place that link in the description box if you want to check that out. So Tunisian crochet is always worked in 2 parts. Each row is worked in 2 parts. So we are doing row 1. So the first part of row 1, called the forward pass, we are putting our stitches on our hook. And then the second part of row 1 will be called the return pass, where we will take the stitches off our hook and each part equals 1 row. Okay, so I have my loops on my hook, and the amount that I chained will be the amount that is on my hook. So I have 17 loops because I chained 17. So let's work the second part of row 1. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and yarn over and pull through 2 for the rest of the row. Okay, so there we go. There is row 1. Okay, so we are back. Let's get ready for row 2. So row 2, we're just working Tunisian knit all the way across. So in that first vertical bar there, I'm inserting my hook and you insert it through. So if you're not familiar with the knit stitch, it is in the playlist. So you just insert through to the other side, because if you spread it apart, it actually looks like a chain and you have 2 loops. So when you spread it apart, it actually looks like a chain. You have 2 bars. So here is the vertical bar that we often work in, the front, but behind there's another one right there in the back, and we are working through right in the middle, just like that. Alright, and then that last stitch that looks like a chain, we insert through, pull up our loop, and I chained 12, so whatever amount you chain, you will have the same amount on your hook. So now we work our return pass, so you're going to yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2 for the rest of the row. And this stitch pattern is just a 2-row repeat. Okay, so there is row 2. So row 3, we are going to work Tunisian simple, but we're going to be working around the entire, both bars, the front and back one. So when I showed you how we worked through for the knit stitch, right here, this time we are going to work around the whole thing. So in that space there and there. In the space there and there. So it's similar to the one, if you watched the one last week, how we worked the purl. This time we're doing Tunisian simple, but we're going to skip the first stitch here and we're going to do it around the second. So in the space, and then in the next space work Tunisian simple. Now we're going to go back in the one we skipped in the space, doing the same thing. So we're just crossing the stitches, working Tunisian simple. And we're just going to do that all the way across. So you're skipping the next stitch, working in the space in the next one, and then work that simple stitch, and then we go back in the one we skipped. Now it can be tricky to go in the one we skipped, but it's not too bad. And we just keep going all the way across. And then we just work in that last stitch that looks like a chain. And again, we should still have 12 loops, but if you chain, let's say if you chain 14, then you would have 14 loops on your hook. So now we just work the return pass like normal, yarn over pull through 1, yarn over pull through 2 for the rest of the row. So what you're going to do is you're just repeating rows 2 and 3 for however long you want your swatch, and then we will do our bind off row. So this is a very nice textured stitch. I think it does curl a little bit, which is pretty common with Tunisian knit stitch. Alright, so it doesn't look like a whole lot yet, so we're going to work a few more rows so you can see the stitch pattern. Alright, so here is my swatch, so you can see, I think it's a very pretty stitch pattern, nice and textured, and as you can see it does curl, which a lot of times when you're doing knit stitches that's pretty common. But now we're going to bind off, and that is just finishing off our work. So we're just going to bind off in pattern. So I finished off on a row 3, so now we need to do a row 2, which is our knit row. So just in that first vertical bar, I'm going to work the knit stitch and then bind off. So binding off is a combination of Tunisian crochet and regular crochet. So this is the slip stitch, so that's the regular crochet. We're working the Tunisian knit stitch, and then we finish off with the slip stitch. And as you can see, I'm trying to be really relaxed and not have a tight tension. And we're just doing that all the way across. And then in our last stitch that looks like a chain. And there we go. So I think this stitch pattern would be really nice, especially in a blanket. It feels really nice. Of course, you would want to incorporate some other stitches that lay flat to kind of combat that. And if you used a yarn that had a natural fiber, when you block it, like give it a really strong block, that would also help it to lay more flat. Or you could use this stitch working in the round. Like I think this would be really pretty, and especially in a hat for sure. But I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you did, please like and subscribe, and thank you so much for watching.